Everybody loves a kid who is ahead of their own age, right? Maybe the kid is in a gifted and talented program or an honors program. Maybe they're better at math than others, or reading or science or athletics. Regardless, everybody loves a young person that is ahead of their peers. And I think it's because of the potential, right? That they could be something greater in the future. So for example, personal example, I was always a little bit better at reading and writing compared to my peers growing up. And I remember getting a lot of compliments and praise and comments about how I was always a little bit better than most in that. And it felt good because a lot of adults see this potential and they always say something along the lines of, you are gonna do great things one day. You're gonna be someone one day. You're gonna do great things one day. You got you feel like it gets me feeling good. All of that potential that is inside you can transform into anything, and you can be something that the world appreciates, all because you are better than most at this one thing. But I feel like the issue that I've run into, and if you're watching this, you might also feel like, previously burnt out gifted kid. I feel like at one point, potential stops being something that you have, and it becomes something that you feel responsible for. So going back to me, like I said, I told you I was always pretty good at reading and writing. I was a good rule follower. I was pretty good at academics in general. I was just a good student, point blank period. And the praise that I got was connected to following the rules, staying in school, getting the grades, just studying and then taking the test and getting the marks. It felt like the more that I did that, because I got a lot of praise for it, the more that I did that, the less time and the less opportunity I had to do things outside of academics, reading, writing, following the rules, because the pressure was there to be something, to act on that potential, to live it out. And at some point, I feel like many young kids put themselves in like a box and they're not able to see outside the box because basically everything that is not related to achieving your potential is a waste of time. And I know that I've received that as well. Like personally, I developed interests growing up in like making these YouTube videos or basketball or sneakers or music. I had these hobbies, I had these interests, and yet they were never in line with the box that I saw myself in, that I put myself in, and that everybody else kind of slotted me in. And so a lot of these hobbies and these interests I had to let go of because I've been told time and time again, it's a waste of time. It doesn't get you to where you have to go. As a result of putting myself in that box and letting go of all the things that didn't really matter, I eventually got scared to try anything new. I got scared to essentially be a kid and figure things out and just try things. And it was all because I needed to protect that identity of this perfect self, this potential self that I was supposed to be in the future. And a lot of people are going to call it making sacrifices. A lot of people are going to call it making the right decision. To me, I felt obligated to be this person. But let's actually take a look at what this potential self, perfect person actually is. This imaginary person that people make for us is a perfect person in a perfect world. They always make the right decisions. They never get tired because they're perfect and they don't run out of gas. They never get distracted. They can focus for 12 hours a day. They never get broke. They're never on their last dollar. They don't get heartbroken. And they never face uncertainty because they follow a roadmap. Also, every sacrifice works out. Every risk that they take always has a positive payout in this perfect world that they live in. And then they can go to work, and then they can go to school, and then they can work out, and then they can study, and then they can have friends and never get tired, never have to recover. And so when I put it that way, just thinking about this imaginary person, they never had to live through the average human experience. Now let's talk about what the actual average human experience is, right? Which is a lot messier than what many people would like to admit. You got work, you got your 9 to 5, and it's not really a 9 to 5 because you wake up at 6 and you drag yourself to the bathroom and you make breakfast and you get dressed and you have to commute. And then you do the same thing once you get home after 5 p.m. and you're tired, right? That's just the way of the world. You have bills that you have to pay for, to keep the lights on, to keep the phone on, to keep the electricity on. In real life, we get exhausted. In real life, we get burnt out. In real life, we need a break. There's also things like maintaining relationships, navigating through love and breakups and healing and analyzing a text for 3 hours. Then there's hanging out with your friends for a Sunday afternoon, not doing anything, but just knowing that you needed it. It doesn't provide any productive outcome. It's just hanging out with the guys. To me, when I think about this potential self and this perfect person, they never had to worry about all of the human life stuff. And so that perfect person just followed a roadmap to success down to the T. And we never had to worry about this stuff. And I know what some of you might be saying, well, if I didn't have all these distractions, if I didn't have to worry about bills or work or getting tired, then maybe I would have been happier fulfilling my potential. And that's kind of where I want to challenge you. Because I believe that even following a roadmap to achieve your old potential self does not actually guarantee fulfillment. Because look, I feel like you can follow the expected rules to success, the expected pathway to success, and you can get the dream career, the money, the status, but there are always going to be certain little tidbits that always set you off and that can make you upset even though you have everything. Like for example, you can arrive later than expected. You can assume that you're going to achieve everything. You're going to realize your potential by 30. You don't do it until 40. And you can reach that end stage at 40. You can go, damn, I really wish I could have done this 10 years earlier. The achievement, the feeling of realizing your potential could feel different when you actually realize it. I know for me, at a certain point in my career when I got to making a certain amount of money, living in certain spots, I thought I would be significantly happier, but I wasn't. I was just grinding away, waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work and grind out 13 hours. In the process of trying to chase my potential, the potential self that I was supposed to be, that someone great, I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed curiosity. I sacrificed potential relationships with, people, connections. I sacrificed parts of myself that I'm now just realizing now after giving the time. I truly believe that you can achieve the dream, but you'll realize it actually was never your dream, or you realize maybe you grew out of it. So now here comes the main point of the video, because we are talking about wasted potential. And if you are watching this video, you probably might be a young adult in your early to mid 20s thinking that you might have wasted your potential. And I'm here to tell you that maybe you haven't. Personally, I think it's really unfair to continue living up to that someone big or that potential of doing great things, basically the praise that you got when you were a kid. I think that's unfair. Because when you're a kid, your childhood potential is limitless. And we hear a lot of kids talk about this, right? Kids want to be an astronaut or a doctor or a firefighter. Nowadays, people want to be streamers and influencers and cajillionaires. They could do that, and they can say that because they have all the time in the world and all the potential in the world. But as you get older, things start to feel a little bit more defined. You define what you like. You define what you don't like. You define morals and values. You define certain paths that you want to go on. And I think the older that you get, the more in line you are with yourself and the more you know what you want. So maybe as a kid, you wanted to be a professional athlete, and you find out that when you're in adulthood, you actually don't want to do that. And that's okay. I don't think that it means you are making your dreams smaller. And I think a lot of people believe that if you're not existing with childlike wonder and childlike potential, anything less than that, you're just diminishing yourself. And I have to disagree. I believe that potential changes based on where you are in life, and it gets more and more defined as you get older. And rightfully so, because the older you get, the more specific you get about certain things. And so as you get older, the question changes from what can I become? And it turns into something like, what kind of person do I want to become? See, there's a difference. So for those of you watching right now who, again, might feel like they have wasted their potential from their youth, who might feel like they're not where they want to be right now, I urge you to ask yourself this question. Are you chasing something that you genuinely want in this moment, that's in line with you right now? Or are you chasing a version of yourself that you might have outgrown? I truly believe that our potential selves are always changing, always getting redefined. And if you're living a life that's worth living, as everyone should be, it should be getting redefined. At some point, you're going to have high points. At some point, you're going to have low points. And your best self, it's not always going to be the same. You can be delusional. You can have amazing big goals, but you also have to find your potential self, your best version of yourself to get there. And it's not always static. So yes, wasted potential, I feel like, is a common arc that a lot of young adults go through in their early to mid 20s. It's one of the things that contributes to that feeling of feeling behind. And I have another video about why you might feel behind in your 20s. It's down below and it's up here. Click this video after this one's done.